Alright everybody, still catching them on videos here. Got one from August the 6th. This was Big Red, which is a reefed rig. There are multiple jackets reefed here. A couple of them are laying on their side. The one we're going to dive is at roughly 70 feet. It's laying on its side, so there's quite a bit of structure to work here. Went out with my friend Monte. He's the gentleman holding my gun in the boat here in front of me. Back roll, he's going to hand it to me. In the water with me is my daughter Heather. Plan here is red snapper season's closed, amberjack's open. We don't see any amberjack on this dive, but kind of plan down here is to just kind of shoot as many gray snapper as we can and kind of get my daughter on some fish here. So kind of skip down. We're down right on top of the rig here, coming down to the top of it. See Jack Crevalle. I see a couple of Creole fish. There's some Atlantic spadefish, this whole school. These fish coming up close. These are blue runners. Blue runners are pretty common here. Again, more spades and blue runners. Monte has already done this dive and tied the boat off. That's why it looks all tangled and wrapped up in the rig there. Pretty good visibility. Again, we're down at 70 feet. We can almost see to the bottom. Bottom here is at about 120. And you can see way down there, you can almost see the horizontals. This is a bristle worm. Those white hair-like things on the edges, if you touch them, those come off, kind of stick in your skin. And the reason they call them fireworms, right? Sting you pretty good. Even if it don't get you directly in the skin, it can get in your suit, and then later when you take your suit off, those bristles can get you later. Kind of like the nematocysts off a jellyfish. You want to get those off because they can kind of just keep getting you after the fact. So here's a gray snapper I'm pointing out. I'm trying to get her to take the shot on. She's kind of upside down on it now. Takes a miss. That's all right. It's all part of the learning process. I got to take the gun back. I have to load it. This is kind of my medium-ish sized gun here, so I have to kind of load it for her. So in between, I'm taking the gun back and loading it. There's a small grouper. There's a gray triggerfish in the open there. Sheep's head to the right. Queen angel down there on the bottom. Small grouper are common on these rigs, but they're usually so small they're not worth even pointing the gun at. Again, I'm kind of looking for these grays. The bigger ones tend to be just on the outside here. They'll also be around any kind of tight structure. You got handrails and stuff like that. They like going inside the pipes and stuff like that. Kind of give him a pass. I'm being a little picky here. Again, most of these fish you're seeing, there's a cobia. Beautiful cobia. Just about legal size. Not sure if he was legal or not, but he was right about that size. So there's some red snapper down here. There's a gray. Right? This is why you need to know how to identify these fish very well underwater, because they're all mixed in together, and the grays and reds look very similar. This is a gray here. Had the safety on. But got that corrected. Got the first gray on the stringer here. So we're going to grab him. We're down below the top of the rig here. I'm going to pull him up to me, get hands on. I'm going to take him to the top of the rig, and I want to sit down on the rig where I'm a little shallower. I'm going to use a little less air. Of course, we got a tail following us down here. That's a bull shark. He's a resident on this rig. There are a couple of them, actually. We've seen them on previous dives on this rig, and they're pretty much here every time. And then there's number 2. So at least 2 bull sharks. Later in the video, there will be even more than 2 bull sharks. So, but starting off here, got that first fish. Again, I'm going to kind of get up here shallow, sit on the rig. I've got that fish clenched to my fist pretty tight, so he can't jump around a whole lot, thrash around and invite those sharks to come up. They generally will go back down in the murk, kind of stay down there. As long as I'm not down there right at the murk line shooting fish and I'm way up here, they're probably not gonna bother to come all the way up here. All right, but pretty good gray snapper there. I don't want him jerking around on my stringer, so take my knife out and just dispatch him really quickly. Here again, I'm handing off the gun so she can do some shooting. There's some spadefish. I see some lone grays, lots of grays everywhere. They're kind of hard to point out, but they're usually kind of solo. One here, one there. There's a couple of grays there. She's pointing at the ones kind of to my left. Those are also grays. I'm just kind of pointing around at different fish that she could shoot, but she's already kind of got her sights on one. So she's going in for the shot. It's moving away. It's quartering away. She goes ahead, takes the shot anyway. It's a miss. That's all right. Just trying to wave her off on that one. Generally, if they're 10 plus feet and they're quartering away from you, it's better to just kind of stop and turn your back, and they'll actually turn around and come back to you. So the sharks here, they definitely want us to know they're there. I think every single time we pull the trigger, the sharks made their presence known. Should have shot that first one. Take a miss on the second one, trying to switch targets too quickly. Not a good idea. It's just stuck with the one I was pointing at. Again, there's gray snapper up close here. There's a spadefish. Lots of grays in the distance, but I'll tell her go ahead and shoot at this one. Bam! Nails it. Good shot. That's her first gray. She's shot fish before, but never a gray snapper. So I'm telling her, bring it to you, get hands on quickly, come sit on the rig. Again, we don't want to attract the sharks. We want to get this fish under control as quickly as we can. Just kind of kill it. Kind of sucks when they're sitting there bleeding a lot, but not a lot I can do about that. But good kill, Heather. All right, so we're kind of taking turns here now. She's just going to follow me. I'm going to swim up here and shoot a fish. This is generally how you want to approach these fish and shoot them. They're pretty skittish already. They tend to be nocturnal. They can't. There's not many places for them to go here in the daytime. But you got to swim in quickly, get your shot. Boom, nailed that guy. You got to swim in there, get your shot, and they're all going to scatter no matter what. But I wouldn't hesitate. Don't take too long getting in there before you get your finger on that trigger, because they're going to just start swimming away from you when they see you coming. So there's a queen angel on the rig. I see a trigger in the distance. I'm pointing at some grays in the distance. Of course, I keep looking down. I'm double checking to see where the sharks are at, or if they're up at the moment. So she got a hit on that guy, but he was a little far away. Telling her to get a little bit closer. She did get a hit, but he pulled off because it just kind of poked a hole in him a little bit. Again, all part of the learning process. More spades, grays. Those are a bunch of red snapper. Of course, here comes one of the bulls. Let me know he's there. Always kind of patrolling around just below us. It's another reason I'm kind of staying up here on top of the rig and not really going down deeper. We could potentially get bigger gray snapper down there, but you know. Don't know how that guy juked my shaft. That happened really fast. Even rewatching the video, I feel like I should have hit that fish. So, but it is what it is. Grays are kind of a challenge. They're kind of small. They're kind of fast. If you can go out and shoot a whole bunch of grays on a single dive, you're probably doing something right. Right? They're kind of hard to get at here. So she takes her shot. I kind of miss it on film here, but she takes a miss. She's not sure what side I'm going to approach from here. So again, come up. Of course, didn't even hit a fish, but the sharks. They gotta come up. They gotta come up and let you know, hey, I'm still down here, right? So good gray hovering right here. Try not to point that shaft at him too early. Good, a good hit on him. You see all the air come out. I know it hit his air bladder. So I know I hit him pretty much right through the center of the body. Of course, here they all come. I paused this video. There's at least 6 sharks here moving up on me. I know a couple of them are bulls. This one right here is not a bull. Right, that's a Labrador, I think. I think they're large, probably spinner sharks or something like that. There's a couple of bulls and at least 2 or 3 other big sharks down there that are not bulls. But bulls or not, I'd rather not play. So again, this thing's turned up on its side. This would have normally been right at the water's edge at the surface. These are the bumpers where the boat would pull alongside. You have the catwalk here and the handrails for people to walk up onto the rig. But it's all been cut down and reefed in location here. It kind of just cut it, turned it over on its side, and kind of sunk it in place. Of course, these handrails, the cables you see running through the handrails kind of off to my right here. The gray snapper love to hang out in this stuff and down inside the structure. I see one in here I'm wanting to shoot, but I know as soon as I shoot him, he's going to shoot out the other side. I'm going to sit there trying to untangle. Same here. I'm just picturing him twisting up in the handrail cable as soon as I pull the trigger. I've done this enough times. I've done this at this location enough times as well, and untwisted enough gray snapper from those handrails that I'm kind of reluctant to do it if I'm pretty sure they're going to wrap up. I'll kind of just hold off and just take another shot. At this shallower depth, I'll get plenty of shooting time, so I don't need to be in... I'm not desperate for shooting fish, so I could take a pass on quite a few of these. Again, visibility is really, really good. Of course, spades that are in just about every single scene. You see spades. Those things are all over the place. There are no limits on them here in Texas. You can shoot them till your heart's content. Eat them all. They're not great, but they're okay. They're not bad table fare. I would eat them. Boom, that guy got way too curious. Got way too close. I'm surprised he swam away after me putting that shaft through him. But of course he went right into the pipe. This is not the first time I've had grays do this too. First thing they do is try to run for shelter. You don't want him to get too deep in that pipe. I'm keeping tension on that cable so he can't pull it any deeper, because he can get in there and get wedged and I might not get my shaft back out. Right? But I want to, again, get him out, get him under control as quickly as I can. I'm trying to pin him down. All that shaking around is what's attracting attention. You saw that barracuda come up at the last minute there. Bermuda chub right in my face. Bermuda chubs. Small grouper, the little black one to the left there is a small grouper. There's another small grouper right here. Again, these guys are really common on the rig, but they're all really, really small. They're too small to shoot legally, and there's a gag. There's a small gag grouper right there. A couple of grays. Nailed that guy. The Bermuda chubs tend to be very, very round-bodied. These are chubs right here. Got the speckles on them. They're usually a solid color, like that one that I just looked up at. But sometimes they have those white spots on them. I don't know what the difference is. I think they're all the same species. Some are just solid color. Some of them have spots. Again, there's one, the spotted chub there. It's a Bermuda chub with spots. Let me say that. So again, I can't help but keep looking over my shoulder, wondering where that shark's at. I don't want him to kind of sneak up on me from behind and maybe take a bite of something. But again, they definitely want to let me know that they're around. They're going to keep coming up and kind of just showing themselves. Come up out of the murk, give it a little show, turn around, go right back down. But always around, always watching. They know every time I pull the trigger, they know that I did it, and they're going to come out and see if I got something. Big school of look-downs here. Real shiny, look kind of like African pompano. African pompano would be a lot bigger. They wouldn't have the vertical bars on them. The juveniles would have long streamers. The adults wouldn't. Blah, blah, blah. But that's African pompano. Those are all look-downs. Dead coral here. I can't remember what I'm going to point out. Something underneath there. But those blue and yellow fish, those are all cocoa damsels. The black and white long skinny ones and the black and yellow long skinny ones, those are wrasse. I believe those are female bluehead wrasse. And those black ones with the white spot are black chromis. Don't do much close-up stuff. The GoPro with the wide angle is not great for that, but getting underneath here. These grays love to sit right up against the structure here. These are actually some fair grays we're shooting, but I'm looking at that cable to the left, and I know there's absolutely no way I can shoot any of these fish without immediately getting wrapped up in all that cable, and I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm going to kind of leave that be, not take that shot. There's that cobia again in the distance. That's common for them to just kind of give pass-bys every once in a while. Sometimes they'll come really, really close to come up and see what you are. They're very curious fish. There's that cobia, C for cobia. That one on this trip, he never approached close enough to take a shot at. So I'm not quite sure how big he was, but he was around legal size. Legal size here being around 40 inches. Again, it's a bunch of single grays kind of hovering like right underneath the pipe here. They tend to sit in the junctions, anywhere they can kind of hide in little corners and stuff like that. They tend to sit around. Nailed that guy. Dead on impact. It's kind of what I like to see. I don't like them to sit there and fight the whole time. Again, it attracts a lot of attention I don't necessarily want. Of course, I'm being tailed by triggerfish here. These triggerfish can be very aggressive. A lot of times they'll come and try to come up and take a bite of your fish while it's right in your hand. They are not shy at all. Like this guy. Yeah, get out of here. What do you think you're doing? Yeah, take that. Alright, so again, blue runners, barracuda. Great barracuda, very common. They're okay to eat, but not my preference. If I started shooting cudas, these sharks would definitely love it. It's great. Barracuda is very good shark bait, very oily. The sharks would probably approach me if I started shooting cudas. But again, just more footage kind of toward the end here. Just getting the gun loaded. They keep coming up, making little passes, taking a look at me, kind of heading back down. None of them are actually approaching me, though. None of them have come really any closer than maybe 20 feet when the one of them came near, when a whole bunch of them came up at once. Other than that, when they come up as singles, they tend to keep their distance. Anyway, more look downs, more blue runners. The yellow one there is a Spanish hogfish. Again, there's those look downs. Those are really, really skinny. They're not really any good to eat. Bunch of spadefish. A couple of grays I'm chasing here, moving down. Again, I don't know how I missed that guy. I feel like that should have been a hit, but it is what it is. A couple of horse-eyed jacks. A bunch of grays down here. The smaller fish are all gray snapper. Again, I'm looking for the sharks. I'm trying to keep my eyes peeled. I kind of want to know where they're at all times. Before I go pulling the trigger, there he is. Or one of them anyway. But I'm not going to let that stop me. But here comes the second one. Of course, they're kind of all over the place. They're there constantly. If I were afraid they were going to come up and mess with me while I was shooting these fish, I wouldn't even be in the water shooting these fish. So as soon as I kind of don't see one of them, they kind of swim off outside the rig. When you take advantage of this opportunity, kind of pop me a little gray here, gets a little too curious. Of course, he's thrashing around a bit, so it doesn't take but a couple of seconds, and you can already see the sharks coming up out of the murk. Again, I just want to pin him down and get him to stop thrashing around. Of course, the barracuda's curious as well. And just constantly patrolling below us, man. Constantly. But that was it. Pretty good stringer of gray snapper on this trip. Again, amberjack was open, but we didn't see any, and red snapper was closed. But good trip. Hope to do it again soon. Yes, hope to see you guys on the next one.